December 3rd in Glendale, California, we have two guys who, if you were to put them in your top 10 pound for pound at the moment, I don't think we could argue too much. They have the necessary abilities, they have the resumes, the eye test, whatever metric you want to measure them on, they pass. Both probably all-time greats. Juan Francisco Estrada, Mexico, Roman Chocolatito Gonzalez, Nicaragua. Rubber match time. It's going to be very probably a tremendous fight because despite if these guys are a little bit past it, which I think both of them probably are to varying degrees now, they know what rests on this. They're always fighting for the bigger money. Both gutsy guys, ultimately. Once you scrape away all the considerable skill, you have two real bona fide warriors here. And I was thinking recently, what's kind of a bit melancholy about this encounter is that it's probably going to be the last one of this modern day fabulous four we've had. Yes, Carlos Cuadras, also Mexico, is the guy who's generally taken the L's here, with the other significant player being Rungvisai, but he has really made this a very enjoyable era, pushed the other guys very hard, just like the second tier is supposed to do in any golden age, because yeah, that's what we're dealing with. This has been a golden age. And when Chocolatito and Estrada finally do retire, because of the amount of quality we still have at £115, they're going to leave it in a very healthy state. And another little interesting takeaway I had about this rubber match is that if Chocolatito actually manages to get the decision this time, with him having already beaten Julio Cesar Martinez and knocked him back down to his rightful poundage, I think, at flyweight 112. Well, then I see him as really the only challenger to Dmitry Bivol as to who is the best fighter of 2022. People forget Chocolatito's resurgence. They just overlooked him. When he got knocked out by Rungvisai, a lot of people were very quick, as they are in both victory and defeat, to either say you're amazing or I told you he was never any good. Look at the way Chocolatito has built himself back up. A lot of people felt, like myself, even though I picked Estrada and had to technically give myself the tick for my prediction, ultimately I don't think he won in reality. A lot of people felt it was a 7-5 to Gonzalez in that rematch because of that tremendous push he had in the final round. And I think for myself, because of the way Gonzalez has recovered, because it's kind of confounded logic, the way this come-forward fighter, who's been in so many wars, is still operating at a very high level, I think he's on one of those very gradual declines. I didn't necessarily think he looked amazing against Martinez in his previous fight, but this was a fight in which he was in total control of, so he didn't have to pull out that fifth gear. He just worked over the smaller guy who wasn't able to threaten with those clever little powerful shots and just went about his work as usual. And remember, he kind of looked the same against Israel Vasquez, was it? Sorry, Israel Vasquez. No. Israel Gonzalez. Yeah, it was Gonzalez v. Gonzalez, wasn't it? That was his fight before the rematch with Estrada. And he looked like he was kind of going through the motions there. He fights Estrada again, and he switches on the afterburners. I think we're going to see that again in this third fight. And as for Estrada, he had to recently tough it out against fellow countryman Archie Cortez. I think it's the kind of fight you could easily look at and go, well, look, Estrada's past his best here, isn't he? This guy now giving him trouble. But on the flip side, Estrada shows in his 30s he can still tough it out. He can still find the better shots to overcome an inspired opponent, right? In Mexico, no less, where there's such national pride at stake, always. But when things do get tough in this rubber match, I've got to go with Gonzalez, his manner of fighting, the range in which, because he's so good at cutting off the ring, he insists you fight at. Yes, I went for Estrada in the rematch. Yes, though he technically got the decision, I don't think he deserved it. I think when these two hook up, because Estrada doesn't have the bone-crunching power of Rungvisai, and because of something that's going to come out more, I think, when Gonzalez eventually retires, because he is so defensively good, actually. He's so good at adjusting his guard, catching punches, catching body shots, living inside the fire, right? If I'm about to get a little bit Teddy Atlas. He can just exist so close up, keep the combos going. He never burns himself out because, of course, he's always throwing kind of like 30% shots. He waits for the gaps and then he puts more mustard on it. And if there's kind of a similar level here of degradation where they've both just dropped about 5%, then going off that rematch, I think it's going to be Gonzalez with that extra little push at the end. And hopefully, if there's no politics, it'll be 2-1 to the Nicaraguan when a lot of people feel it should already be right now 2-0. But let me know what you think of what is one of the last very good fights of 2022. How do you have the score right now between these two all-time greats? You do hear some people say, oh, Estrada definitely should have got the first one, but really, is that just from very fervent Mexicans? How did you have the second one? And how do you see this rubber match going?